Welcome to that spiritual, actual, factual answers to questions you're asking. You find them inside you, recite you, reciting the records of cash. We laughing, we drafting the passion to vary. It's time for that comedy, dramedy, all of the fanciest, catchiest acronyms. Listeners, listen, we traveling. Conscious is always unraveling. The reading you're having is mapping you back to your natural habitat. Abracadabra, it's magic, let's basking it. To top it off, the host, all the classiest. Now, what were you asking for? All of the answers, what? All the answers.
Will you tell that story again?
So I went on an event yesterday, and I'm only repeating this because we think that it's probably important. No, went on an event yesterday, and on our events, we always have to get all of our stuff ready back at the office. Like, oh, did you put in whiteboard? Did you put in the iPod? Did you put in the prizes and all the different games and all the different things we need for all the different games? And we went through it a bunch of times, and I asked my co-person, oh, did you put that in? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I got that. Oh, I got to get the iPod. And then he went off. And then I was like, great, he got the iPod. We get to the event, no whiteboard, no iPod, which is huge, which means we don't have our music. And he felt terrible, of course. And I trusted him. And that's fine. I should trust him. But also now I won't trust that again. I'll always double check myself. We made do. And then it hailed. Katie, we start the event in Sebastopol, and it starts hailing.
That can't be a thing that happened.
It hailed for like
What?
5 minutes.
How big were the hail nuggets?
They were small, but they were real. And they were like that kind of weird, hard, dry hail.
Weird.
It wasn't slushy at all. We just begin and we're doing this event, and it's a bike build, which means we give them a bike part after every game. They like earned a bike part, and they slowly, but the first thing we give them is the helmet, because we're always like safety first, because they're going to donate these bikes to charity later.
So it hailed on the helmet.
So we were like, put your helmets on. They just got their helmets in their hand, and we were like, put your helmets on. And then we like stepped inside. They had like a meeting building right off where we were. So we all just stepped inside for about 5 minutes and played a game. We made up a game that we could play indoors real quick. And then it passed, and we came back outside and continued.
Wow.
Everything was just weird. We had a hailstorm. We didn't have any of our equipment, but we totally made do. We are awesome.
And
now I have a good playlist on my phone for when I do have an event.
So you had to create a playlist on the fly.
Yeah. I'm sitting here like going, how about this song, and add that to the playlist. Maybe this song, add that to the playlist. All the while we're unpacking these boxes of bike parts, which takes a long time. And there were 20 bikes and only 3 people. Everything was crazy. We ran right up to the post of starting, one of those things where you're like still unpacking the bike parts as the event is starting.
Okay, so this is the reason we were talking about this pre-recording, and I wanted you to say it again because we just started Mercury Retrograde, and that's the most Mercury Retrograde story I've ever fucking heard.
Oh, right. Totally. And it's like with people who know what they're doing and can be trusted.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's why Mercury Retrograde is such a thing, because it's nobody's fault. It's just going to happen.
Great.
But that's the thing about it.
So now instead of double checking, we have to triple and quadruple check.
Is that's what you're taking from this idea?
And you're saying it won't matter if I double check? It's still going to go wrong?
Well, let's really get into it. That's why I wanted to hear this story, is because there's kind of a lot to say on these topics. But the thing about a retrograde is like communication is going to fail. Machines are going to be weird. Technology is going to be weird. Things that usually flow smoothly, systems fall apart, and it just fucking happens each time. There's 2 solutions. One, many people I'm sure will say many things. This is what I've discovered so far in this reality that I think are useful tips. One is moving incredibly slowly during a retrograde period. And so, yes, 1,000,000% triple check during a retrograde, because shit's going to be weird. So you may as well move slowly. But it's not even about the triple checking. It's literally about the slowness with which you function. Here's why. When you're like slow everything down and breathe into your belly, you can like feel every moment, like on stage, right? As a performer, if you like go twice as slow, you're having more connection with the person in front of you, and it's more like weighted and present than if you're like zip it, zipping, which is fun and good and works theatrically, but you might miss a moment between you of a certain level of depth connection if you're moving faster. During a retrograde, it's like required of us that we drop into those very deep places inside of ourselves to get see, retrogrades are about getting the deep teaching. The deep teaching, not the how do we get it done as quickly as possible teaching, which is how we tend to operate in the 3D realm, in America, on Earth. Hurry, make money, go, get it done, win, be the best, whatever, we're all doing. So instead, in a retrograde period, we're being asked by the universe to be like, hold on, and breathe. What's really here? Because when you do that, the decisions you make are more spiritually, or you could say higher selfedly, or more integratedly, holistically healthy. You can hear the truth in a holistic way when you're slowly moving. So the second tip I have for people is like, if you have a spiritual practice, I learned this from a Vedic astrologer who this changed my life at a certain point. He said, during retrogrades, amp up your do 4 times as much spiritual shit that you do. If you meditate for an hour instead of half an hour. If you, I don't know, walk a labyrinth, walk it twice. If you, whatever you're journaling, whatever. If you, and a simple way, he used to say, take yourself to the ashram during a retrograde. Even if you can't go to a literal ashram, you can stay in your bedroom a lot. You can be in your house. You can see 3 people total in your life rather than trying to take that long trip, do those 4 projects. It's more go to the ashram, eat your clean, simple foods, not so much technology, breathe, feel yourself. And then lastly, related to all that, it's a great time this one helps me so much. You don't sign the contract during a retrograde. You reread it 10 times. You don't buy the car during a retrograde. You you research which car you want during a retrograde. So it's not like life stops. It's you go into a deep inquiry about whatever you're in process around. You don't break up with the person. You go hold on, what's going on with us? Let me figure out what I need and talk to you about my needs. What do you need?
But let's not make any decisions about it during this time.
Let's take inventory. We can have some chats if we're both breathing a lot and moving slowly, because communication is going to be effed unless you're so functioning at the center of your being that you're not. The reason to get deeply connected to the self and the low belly and the slow breath is because you're less likely to be influenced by the astrological forces if you're really centered in your breath and your belly. Astrology owns us when we're unconscious. And even when we're conscious, it's still operating and affecting our nervous systems. But you can function beyond it if you're really present. Does that make sense?
It does. Interstitial timeout. Maybe it's on the subject of things.
I think
you
it is.
sound amazing. It's a little plosive because you're right on top of the mic today. So
Okay.
Either put your screen in or back off.
The other thing that's happening, I will do that. Tell me.
Yeah.
This is so weird. Is this happening on your end? The sound is going from my right ear to my left ear, right ear to my left ear. Speaking of retrogrades.
For
retrograde.
you, when you
For me.
talk, or just when I talk?
When I talk.
Don't tell you about that. That is the weirdest thing I've ever heard.
I think it's my cord, because when I touch, it's the cord. Because when I touch it.
Your cord is jiggity.
Okay, hold on 1 second. Let me fix 2 things at once. But we have to keep that in, Desmond, because it's on the topic.
Yeah, stick it in good, Katie.
You want me to stick it in?
I want you to stick it in good. Make sure it's
Where
firmly.
should I put it?
Well, you're going to go in from behind, clearly.
Oh my God. I think that's a little better. Okay, now I'm going to deplosify.
Deplosify. Get that screen in.
Deplosify my love. That's a Depeche Mode song?
Yeah, it is.
No, wait. Justify my love is Madonna. Deplosify my love is the Grammar Kings. I made that up.
That's a great name for a band. Oh, this is chaos.
Jesus, fuck. Help me. I'm going to, look at that.
It's useless.
Okay, I can't do it. Hold
Just
on.
back it off.
Okay. Take it out of the back.
No,
Take it
and
further
then
out. Should I slip it out?
Yeah, just don't be on top of it. Oh, and now it's gone flaccid. Or flaccid.
We're putting it in, we're taking it out, we're making it flaccid. All right, how?
Just move it away from you.
See, now I know, but I'm so trained to be close to it because remember we had all those years of days where it was we can't hear you, be on top of it. Now I'm licking its taint and you're mad at me about it. I'm just kidding.
Oh, microphones. Say Peter Piper picked a peck.
Plosive. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickle. pickled peppers.
Much better. Much better. You're also avoiding your P's, I can tell.
Correct. I'm being gentle.
You're not going to do that in the middle of the yeah. Now be aggressive. Peter Piper.
Peter Piper picked a peck of
Sounds
pickled.
great. Yeah.
Oh, that works.
Yeah, sounds great.
I learned a thing and now I'm unlearning it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how life is.
Yeah.
So, retrogrades. Do we know when this one will be released? Because I have a couple things to announce, but let's not bother announcing them.
I love that this episode?
Yeah.
It'll be released this weekend.
Oh, good. Okay, let me say this then, if I may, because it's on my brain.
Yeah.
On the topic, I'm doing a Mercury Retrograde healing, group healing on Sunday at 6 p.m. It's only $65, and people can hold their spot using Venmo at Katie the Rubin, Katie.
Wait, tell me when it's happening?
Okay, wait. Venmo is Katie the Rubin, Katie Therubin, $65. This Sunday, the date is called the 15th. Yep, Sunday the 15th of May, 6 p.m. Eastern time, which I guess would be 3 p.m. California time. 1 hour. We're going to ease the challenges of the Mercury retrograde energetically by clearing out what it is within us that makes us think we need to move fast all the time and just doing integration work. And then we're going to do a clearing for the collective, the whole collective consciousness, that big crazy thing I do sometimes that makes me feel insane but is important. And then we're going to bring some light to the earth. We're going to contribute to the earth since we fucking rape so much of her all the damn time.
And how long is it?
It's an hour. So join us for that. One other announcement, if you're looking for 5 weeks of activating the light body, healing the emotional body, and repairing the spiritual DNA strand, doing a 5-week class, very affordable class through OMA Pittsburgh again. That starts June 6th on Monday nights, 7 p.m. Eastern, Monday nights, June 6th we start. 5 weeks. I think it's like ridiculously cheap, $175. omapittsburgh.org. It's called Waking the Sleepers. Join that class if you need some deeper healing over a long period of time. That's what I have. Do you want to pitch anything?
No. I don't think so.
Here, I'm gonna pitch something for you. Hey world, book Cassidy in a play.
Oh, I changed agents.
Ooh.
I'm very excited. I'm really excited.
Oh. Who?
Well, so I think this is fine this is fine to say. I just had to check. I don't know who I was checking with, my conscience.
Sure.
So a friend of ours has taken a greater leadership role in a particular agency. I think you know what I'm talking about.
Oh, I know what you're going to say. Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. And a good friend has taken on an agency that I've always wanted to be with anyway. And I reached out to him and I said, hey, any interest in bringing me over to your agency? And here's why I want to talk about it on the podcast for a sec, is the way in which he reacted was so needed for my ego, I'll be honest, but for my
soul
self he was like, are you kidding me? Get over here. Oh my God, it would be such an honor to represent you. And it was just like, oh my God, this is what I needed. My agent has been fine. I speak no ill of them, but it was not an engaged relationship.
I understand.
It was it was a Rolodex relationship.
Yep.
And occasionally I'd be like, hey, anything? They'd be like, hey, you're fine. You know, there would be no. So now I'm like, and you know me, I've been talking about wanting to sort of rejuice a lot of things and re-energize some parts of my professional life. And so like now, like having a new agent who I'm going to sit down with and they're going to be like, yeah, shave the beard, get new headshots, whatever.
Yep.
You know, we're going to have a conversation about what needs to be done.
Yep.
And what needs to happen. And it happens to be that, you know, one of the two people running this agency, the one who's doing the voice end, is a dear friend of mine who I absolutely adore. Oh, I can tell you because he's been on the podcast. It's Callum, our buddy Callum, who's been on the podcast. And like he actually is someone I care about and have a relationship with. So I can actually ask him things directly in a truthful way. And he will give me actual feedback. And so it's just like that sense of like shift feels really exciting.
I am so happy for you.
Even if no work comes from it, I kind of don't care.
Of course, I know just what this is so good for a healing podcast because That's not ego. That's spirit. That's your soul. You have a soul in a body who needs to know it's valued and seen and heard. That's so wonderful. I'm so happy. That's fulfillment. That's satisfaction for the manifesting generator that you are. Or generator, I can't remember. Either way, that's what we need. We need to be seen and heard and held. I'm so happy for you, Cass.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's really big.
It is really big. Like teary.
Yes.
I'm throat lumpy talking about it. And it's just like, it's not that there's a shitload of work up here in the Bay Area anyway, but it's just like something about like someone saying,
you matter.
Actively, you matter. And actually you have something to offer and also it's someone who knows that.
Yeah.
Who knows I'm a comedian, who knows I'm a clown, who knows, all the other things. I feel like my other agent was just like, sure, you can fulfill this possible niche, maybe.
Totally.
Yeah.
1,000,000%. They always say that to us as actors, people who like run business, actor, coachy, whatever. It's like, go with the agency that gets you, where you have a real connection. And we're always like, any agent that will take me is because like there's so many actors trying to get it's like you just at a certain point, you're like, just somebody do anything, please.
Right.
But so when you get to have an experience like this, where it is that thing everybody wants and should have, by the way, if the world were correct, you should have somebody who fucking likes you, gets you, acknowledges you, values you. Come on.
Yeah. So
I'm so fucking happy to hear this. Oh, yay.
Yeah.
That's rad.
Yeah.
Rock on.
So that's exciting. And I emailed my other agent and just said, hey, our relationship is coming to a close. And they were super nice. But also there was no resistance.
Right.
There was
cool. Have a good time. They were like, peace.
Totally like, oh, thank you for the really kind note. I wish you the best. I was like, oh, cool. Bye.
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 Can you mouth to me which agency it was?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I thought so. Okay. That was my exact experience with them.
Yeah. Perfectly lovely. No problem.
Lovely.
But no engagement.
No connection.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get that. Can I share? I want to share a little theater victory with you that's sort of the opposite. It's just an opposite. I don't know how to explain it, but I had someone come to me and say, okay, let me back up. These are, I feel like, stories of victory of honoring the self.
Ah, good.
In an industry where we're taught so often and out of necessity sometimes make choices that just are not honoring of the self at all. So I had someone who, I think I could probably safely say, let me be very grounded about it, maybe 6 times in the last year and a half, maybe 2 years, has said to me, let's do a show. Let's bring your show here. How are these dates? Cool. That date? Great. Your show is happening on that date. And then when I write back, awesome. Here, when do you need the marketing materials? No response. Oh, so we're still good for that date, right? No response. And then months go by and I'm like, well, I guess we're not doing a show. Or another version of it will go like, you want to put something together? Yeah. How about I bring a show? Does that work this time? Yeah. What would it be? It would be this. It'd be that. That sounds great. Let's do it. And I go, cool. How's January? And they go, no response. So like 6 different times, these like lengthy back and forth messages of, we gotta have you. When are you coming? You're so amazing. We love you. How's this time? And then it just doesn't happen. And they drop the ball and stop talking in a very weird way that is so unprofessional and not what you would get in a professional context. And this is a professional context.
Wow.
So recently, I also have a friendly relationship with the person who, communicates for this place. And the point being, they messaged me again. I'm back. Everything's good now. When do you want to come? And I took a breath. And I said, and let me give credit where credit is due. They said, I want to say sorry for all the times I've said, let's do this. And then we haven't done it. Can we do it? And I wrote back and said, I so appreciate you acknowledging that. Thank you for that. I honestly feel so tired and sad and hurt from all the times of getting my hopes up and then getting them broken that I think I'm going to need to pause for now. And if things are working very well with your organization in a year from now, let's talk again. And they wrote back, I fully get it. You're right. I think that's wise. We have to get some ducks in a row. If we're still going strong in a year, I'll hit you up again. I'm so sorry. It's my fault. Like fully owned up was fully cool about it. The problem is this individual has owned up before and still not shown up. So I'm not mad at them. I'm not holding resentment, and I'm holding even less resentment than before because I finally said, I need a little evidence to see that you guys like have your shit together and are going to show up for me and not drop the ball. So I'm going to watch you for a year, do that with other people and see if it happens. And then in that case, we could talk again.
Yeah.
So it's and it was saying no to something that could be something, but I just can't anymore do those things. Like the LA version of this is where somebody wants you to do a show for no money, but there's exposure, that actor thing where it's like, do this thing and you could put it on your reel. And you can't, it's bullshit, right? This was like harder to say no to. Those have become easy to say no to for me because I'm old and I don't have the time or energy, thank God. But this kind of thing where it's like, it's my night and I'm going to make several $1,000s and it's going to be really fun and they're going to market for me. There's like, that's
yeah.
You want to say yes to that,
Right.
So that felt like really like esteem building. It made me feel really good about myself. I didn't get lost in the fantasy of maybe this time will be different. Because it's like that thing where you date a toxic person and they go, I'm sober now. And you go, how long though? And they go 25 minutes. And you go, okay, so call me in 8 months and let's talk.
Yeah.
How much therapy have you done? How much weed are you smoking instead of this other drug you were doing? Whatever it might be. So that was my little victory there.
So often we need to be, it's not, fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me. It's fool me once, twice, 3 times, 4th, 5th time is when you're going to be like, finally be like, oh, there's a lesson here that I'm not getting. It often takes multiples.
Yeah.
With the relationship or because I want it. Oh, nope, you broke my heart again. Okay, got it this time. Got it. Shit, you just broke my heart again. God damn it. Okay, I got it this time.
It always brings up the thing for me too of like, okay, this is a really interesting topic and we talk about this a lot in 12-step recovery. The 12 steps teaching is like abandon hope. And let me talk more about that.
I want to hear more about that.
Yeah.
Let me just insert. I had that thought during the Obama presidency, which I still have a lot of love for. Absolutely. And I also had we had a lot of what? We're still doing drone killing, whatever. Lots of bad shit still went down.
Yeah.
But a lot of it had to do with because that particular thing was built on hope.
Yeah.
And hope is a bitch because it makes you care.
Okay, so this is what I want to talk about. In addiction recovery, we talk about surrender, denial, fantasy, and hope, and where it all comes together. In other words, when are you in hope? Like so many women, let's use let's use me so we don't offend anyone.
What have you done?
What have you done now? All the times in my past where I would date a man who was really not emotionally available or well. And I was looking for an emotionally available, well man. Like I knew what I was looking for. And someone would show up in front of me and there would be chemistry. And I'd know intuitively and see evidence through their behavior over and over again that they were not that thing. They were not available and not a match for me and not well enough for me, my version of well. So I would go into fantasy or denial about the possibility that maybe one day they could be well, healthy, whole, available. And sometimes, depending on how injured these men were, they would say the words that led me to believe and have the denial and the fantasy and the quote hope that they were going to be different. So in that context, I learned you cannot believe what people say. You have to believe you believe them based on what they do, what they show you with their behavior. And so abandon hope in the 12-step context is the way addicts' brains work is they go like, well, this time I could have 1 drink and it won't lead to 6 because I feel better, because I'm in a good mood, because I did a lot of therapy, because the moon is not in retrograde, whatever reason. So they teach you abandon hope, or another way to say it is quit the debating society. Maybe they could, are we gonna, maybe I can. So when you give up hope, you start to, as they would say, live in reality and go, reality is showing me X. My fantasy is Y. I'm going to abandon hope of Y being reality and drop into life on life's terms, which is X. So that is not to say, how do we give up hope on everything and live a hopeless, miserable life?
Right.
But it is to say we're talking about clinging on to fantasy as a way, if we really examine it, to not be in this moment we're in.
Yeah. So hope can be a force for movement, but it should not be the definition of reality.
I think it's like a hope can be an energy for movement, and you can have hope that things will get better, and you could take action toward making them better. And if they start to get better, hooray, go in that direction. But if you have hope and hope and hope and the behavior doesn't change,
yeah,
and nobody's taking the action, you've got to abandon hope, because reality is not, you can't put hope down a hole where reality isn't being hopeful.
Right.
What you could do is redirect your hope in a different direction. Let's go back to the me in relationships example. It's not that I give up hope of meeting someone ever. I give up hope that the toxic men will be untoxic. Now, they may become, these people, these are humans with choice. They may heal themselves. But if I abandon hope today on someone who today is not well or is not right for me, that frees me up to point my hope towards a possible person who is already right for me.
Right.
Where I'm not hanging on to the false hope. So there's false hope and appropriately directed hope.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah. It's attachment too. It's like attachment to that hope, because it's something that doesn't exist. That's the whole kind of point of hope, is that it's something out there.
Yeah.
So it doesn't actually exist. So, and if you attach yourself to that.
And you can bring things that don't exist into existence with hope and with intention and with concerted efforts in that direction. So we don't abandon hope entirely in life. We abandon the hope that is attached to a sinking ship. So it's learning how to discern when is a ship sinking and when is it not.
Yeah.
I would be wise to give up the hope that I could ever eat normal amounts of sugar and not always want more, and not always be thinking well, I had some yesterday and it was fine. That I should abandon that hope, because that's denial based. It doesn't match reality. My experience over.
You've been shown over and over and over and over and over and over and over again.
Yeah.
That doesn't work for you.
Correct. And at this point, I'm not in too much denial about it. I'm just in active resistance.
Right. And it's the resistance. That's that resistance poles thing too for you, because it's you're in resistance of eating sugar, but you're very much in resistance of not eating sugar too.
And let me tell you, I've run that healing so many times. And I think it's just at this point, choice. I have to choose it, even though I don't want to choose it. And that's a thing nobody likes to hear on the healing path. So energy heal people who are into my kind of work, like to think we can heal ourselves out of everything. And there's a lot you can heal yourselves through. But certain things you just have to fucking choose it, even when you don't want to choose it, if you want the results of that thing.
Wait, say that again. I got lost in the logic.
Here's what it is. I don't really have a ton of resistance to not eating sugar anymore, or to eating sugar. I'm kind of fine with it either way, but I'm still choosing to eat sugar. So I'm going to have to choose not to eat sugar, even though sometimes I'm going to want to.
Yeah.
So in life, sometimes you just have to choose the thing you actually want the outcome of. It's like going to the gym. You want strong arms. You have to choose to go to the gym and actually go. And we could heal you all day about it. But still, you can get to a place where you're I don't have a lot of resistance to the gym. I'm not going to go. You could just choose not to go.
Yeah.
So you could also choose to go. I think these things are complex and subtle and woven in together, and they serve each other. And it's, you know what I mean? Human existence is such a, what's the word I want? Matrix of complexities. Certain choices that if I say just choose it are too hard to choose, then you need some healing work. But if it's not that hard and you're still not choosing it, well, that's on you.
Yeah.
Because you got to choose it.
Because I get real frustrated by Laura Ingraham or what's her name, people who are whatever, therapists on stupid TV shows types who are well, just stop doing that then.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just stop Dr. Oz or whatever. Just
Totally.
Stop doing it. Dr. Phil, that's the guy I was trying to. Well, you just got to stop.
Right. Because if it were that easy, we all would just fucking stop.
Yeah.
And it's not. That's why we need therapy and healers and friends and apps.
Maybe not. Maybe we don't need apps, but
God, I don't want any apps.
I have them all.
Do you?
I have a lot.
Do you have any like exercise apps?
No, I've started them occasionally and have not continued.
Same here. I don't give any fucks. I'm trying to give some fucks. Sometimes I give fucks. That's how I roll with it these days, is like understanding my human design chart better. I'm like, oh, it's in my chart that I'm going to have bursts of energy for stuff and then just not have any bursts of anything for a while. That is how the emotional wave works. So when I'm all of a sudden like, I'll go to the gym, I go to the gym. And when I'm like, I'm laying here on this couch, I'm laying on the couch. And I'm choosing non-judgment. But you know what's cool too is like that comes after like years of fucking around with it in both directions.
Yeah.
Like years of like forcing myself to go to the gym even if I'm not in the mood and seeing how that feels. And then years of being like, I'm not going to force myself to do things. And then like finding the place in the middle that feels like aligned with me.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
I do.
Because there's no fucking right way. There's just like what feels real and holistically good for me. For me. Because the truth is, lying on the couch forever also doesn't feel good. You start to feel shitty about yourself. Your esteem goes down. You're like, this is demotivating. Da-da-da-da-da. So they both suck if you go to either extreme.
Yeah.
So there's this place in the middle where it's like, for you, the individual, there's a certain amount of whatever that you might want to do. Because you feel good when you do.
Yeah.
Is that stressing you out a little bit?
No, I'm just taking it in.
I hear you. Kind of like the cord in the back of the microphone.
Yeah.
Taking it in.
Just taking it in the back from behind. What?
Does spiritual information enter you from behind?
No, it's more
frontal
and like it comes in through the upper orifice. Third eye, really, is what I'm saying.
Oh, nice. The upper orifice.
Not the mouth.
Not the pee hole?
The pee hole.
Can we say
just
pee
a little
hole?
tiny pee hole. No, I don't. Not into sounding.
Hello, Katie, Cassidy, Desmond, and the listeners at home. This is Rami's Rules number 1. I'm recording this from a bathtub in Red Bank, New Jersey, where it's pretty rainy and windy outside. There are pink spring blossoms strewn all over the sidewalks, and they've soaked up water like millions of tiny sponges, and when you walk on them, they're just pink and gushy. And I'm wondering if this makes me the Uncle Traveling Mac to your Fraggle Rock. I hope so. Okay. That's it for this week. Rami's Rules.
So I traveled. Should we talk about traveling?
Swerve.
Beep. Beep.
Katie, I hear you've been doing some traveling.
I have.
Let's hear about that. How was that for fake as fuck? Hold on.
Breathe.
I'm very curious about what's been going on with your travels because we haven't talked in a few weeks.
Totes. We didn't record.
Also, I just want to acknowledge something. Sorry, interrupting you.
It's okay.
I realize, we probably have said this before, we don't talk when we're not on the podcast, and that's stupid.
Thank you for realizing it. I feel like I realize that every week, but if I say it to you, I feel like I'm nagging you.
Right.
So I try not to nag you.
Yeah. Just, I don't know what to say about that, but that is the truth. Like the podcast is our only form of communication.
I know.
And like leaving voice memos to schedule the next podcast, but that's
totally
about it.
Well, I was thinking about this actually this week because we didn't tape. So I was like, I have no Cassidy in my life. Oh, we didn't tape. Then I was thinking, I feel in a way closer to Rami than I do to you. And we do this whole thing together every week, you and I. That's like super intimate and public.
But you guys talk offline all the time.
But then it got me thinking, so why is like what's happening there? And then it was like, well, the level of vulnerability, like Rami and I, or a friend who I talk with regularly on Messenger or whatever, the vulnerability level is deeper. Like we're talking about our fears and our doubts and our how's your day and our ins and our ups and our downs and supporting each other through stuff. And it was like, oh, that's like a very different thing. I mean, it sounds really obvious when I say it out loud right now, but because what do you think about this theory? That part of it is because I don't feel like this is a very performative podcast. We're pretty damn authentic and vulnerable and real, but there is a performative element. Like we're recording this, we're aware we're recording it, people listen to it.
And there's moments of editing for sure in our own heads. Maybe I won't say that.
Mm-hmm. And we're not exactly coming here and being like, my microphone's doing that thing again. It's going back of
being flaccid.
No, it's going ding, ding, ding between my ears. So I hear like every other word in each different ear. It's so surreal.
Shove it back in deeper.
Okay, I did. It doesn't even want lube. It just wants it in. Just put it in.
Jammed in. You probably need a new... Is it the mic? Is it the headphone cable that's doing that?
I can't tell. Yes, it's the headphone cable. Hello.
Mercury Retro motherfucking great.
No, but it's definitely down here because when I touch it even a little, it does the thing.
Okay.
Okay. Well, that's good to know.
Yeah.
Oh, God, that's so weird. All right. What were we talking about?
Your travels. I think we addressed that you and I should talk more, basically. Ultimately.
Oh, well, no, but like we were talking about, like, so the thing that creates a sense of connection, I would assume doing what we're doing here, there would be a sense of intimate connection. And in a way there is,
Absolutely there is. I think there is.
I mean, there totally is.
Yeah.
But there's something less, I'm just curious about why I feel it's less intimate than if we were just like chit-chatting about life. But we're here just chit-chatting about, I don't get it.
Right. Here's the silly thing. This is maybe, I also think like, I don't want to use up any material. Like if you and I just talk about our week or our day.
Yeah.
Offline completely.
Right.
Then we're going to do that interesting processing and discovery then. And then there will be nothing for us to chit chat about on the podcast.
Really good point.
So stupid though, but not
No,
stupid.
it's a really good point. That's a really good point. It's kind of like that thing where they tell you if you're writing a book or a play or something, don't talk about it too much with too many people because you dissipate the energy of the creative flow.
Yeah.
I kind of like that. Now I'm okay with it. That's what I needed.
So we should, let's find the middle ground, which is let's talk a little bit more offline.
Okay. And we'll chit chat about like uninteresting shit.
Right.
Here's what we'll do.
Once we find ourselves getting into something interesting, too deep,
we'll
be like, hold on. Save that.
We're gonna make our goal of our conversations to be as boring as possible. Who can bore the other faster? I bet it's me.
We should only talk about things that there's no way we're going to talk about on the podcast. So like,
okay,
the even more graphic, like sexual stuff,
sex, yeah,
the really deeply
sex
troubling insider thoughts that we wouldn't even share on the podcast. Like,
that's a good idea. So I'll share my deepest scatological thoughts and feelings.
It's only going to be poop for you, it sounds like. Like you're really insisting on that.
All my rage venting
about poop.
Poop rage. Poop sex. All the sex I'm having with poop.
Have you ever gotten angry at a poop? You're pooping, you're like,
yes.
It just sucks so much.
Yes.
I hate this.
Regularly. You know when that doesn't happen? Is when I'm eating the way the medical medium tells me to eat. So if you start the day with your celery juice, and then you go to your first smoothie, and there's no fats before noon, and you keep like there's all these things. When I eat that way, perfect, smooth, soft, greenish brownish poops.
I don't like greenish brownish. It scares me.
Oh, I love it. It's like I feel like I could fertilize the world.
See, we're not afraid to talk about poop on the podcast, so that's not going to be what we're
We got
talking
nothing. We got nothing to talk about offline. Nothing.
Yeah, because nothing apparently is off limits on the podcast.
Nope.
Katie, so you've been traveling.
Okay, so there I went. Traveling. I went to Wilmington, North Carolina.
I saw pictures. It looks cool as hell.
It was amazing. Okay, other places that I'm not going to name because of family reasons. And then Sarasota, Florida. Okay, that's dumb because I have to, I don't know what to do.
I think you already said it 2 weeks ago. The other
Florida place. Wilmington, North Carolina, Jacksonville, Florida, and Sarasota, Florida. Well, let's talk about this. Why was I wanting to not say it? Let's be real. My mother lives in Jacksonville, Florida. And so does my stepsister, weirdly. Have we talked about this on the podcast before?
This is the stepsister that you
Okay, watch.
Yeah.
So my dad and my mother are married for 18 years of my childhood life. He finally realizes he's trapped in a hellish warp time of nightmarish proportions. Leaves.
Cool. His words, not yours.
He leaves when I'm 18, the summer before I go to college. Great timing, Dad. Well done. Other stories are wrapped up into this, but we'll just stay on this topic. In that time, about 9 months later, he gets remarried. After 26 years of being married to my mother. Let's say this: marriage, not so great. Remarriage, improvement. His new marriage to his new wife, she already has a 2-year-old that she made in her body with another man.
Yeah.
Who went bye-bye far, far away. We don't know where. It's a mystery in life. So my dad raises Sarah, my stepsister, her whole life, not telling her she's adopted. You remember this story?
Yeah, I think you've told this story, yes.
Yeah. Okay, cut to 2 years ago, maybe 3. They tell her, finally, after making me implicit in their lie, not letting me tell her. I try to talk them into it for 15 years. We should tell her now. Can we tell her now? How about I tell her? You want me to tell her? You're going to tell her? Should I tell her? Nobody will tell her. Finally, they tell her. And so as she's grown up, she's 27 now. She is the best. We are related 0% by blood. My dad raised her. So we have the same imprinting in an external nature, nurture way by the same father, but no blood shared because we have different moms and different dads by blood.
Yeah.
Okay. So she's grown up to be this amazing person. She's 5'2", blonde, gay, pilot, flies airplanes at 5'2", female, blonde.
That's cool.
It's amazing. It's amazing.
Did they give her little blocks to put on her shoes to reach the pedals? That's not fair. Short jokes.
She would hate that joke, but it's still funny. But she would hate it, but it's funny. And she would also laugh. She has a good sense of humor.
I acknowledge
totally fair.
The cruelty of that joke.
I would probably make the same joke. Anyway, my point being, it's not like I think women or blonde people or lesbians can't fly planes. It's that if you think about someone like herself looking how she looks in the world we live in and the male-dominated nature of pilot careers.
Yeah.
She's a fucking pioneer badass.
Yeah.
Flying planes, being small and female and gay?
Yeah.
You fucking go, is what I'm saying. So anyway, she's badass, but she works for this finance guy and she graduates college in Virginia, originally from Albuquerque, New Mexico, graduates in Virginia, gets her first job in life in Jacksonville, Florida, where my birth mother happens to live.
Wow.
My birth mother and I do not talk. My stepsister and I do talk a lot. So I want to go to Jacksonville, Florida regularly. But when I do, I'm hiding in the, Walgreens, hoping I don't run into this woman. Not really, and it's a very big city and it's very big. Did you know how big Jacksonville is?
No, but it makes sense. They have
It's
a
huge.
football team. That means, no, I think if you have a football team, that's going to mean you're a pretty big city.
I think I didn't realize it's very, very big. It's very spread out. You can drive an hour and a half in any direction and it's it's still in Jacksonville. Wow.
Oh, wow.
And it's a Army Navy town. So there's a lot of people that come and go. It's I got a whole thing going on. And everybody in the world has been moving to Jacksonville with the whole COVID exodus from all the places. Yeah, so it's really populous right now, blah, blah, blah. So I went there, great time with my sis, and we left quickly and went to Sarasota to see my dad and his wife at a resort where we stayed. But it's always weird to be the reason I hesitated talking about it is because God forbid some family member of mine hears this and then mentions it to her, or my mother may be listening because she does a little bit of stalker activity.
Well, then she's going to know that you, in general, don't want to have anything to do with her. You've said it many times.
Right. We've discussed it openly. That's why, as I was hesitating, I realized, wait, what am I hiding?
Right.
Who am I? If she knows, she knows. What's the problem? So there's no problem. Okay, so I went to these places. Families are complicated is the end of that story. It was really good. It was kind of I was talking to Rami about it after, and here's how I said it. I was like, I have to move there. I'm moving. I'm leaving here and moving. And I'm not entirely sure that won't happen at some point.
To which one?
Wilmington.
Okay.
Got there, saw all the rentals, talked to all the people, had all the thoughts, felt all the feelings, filled out some forms, chose the part of town, did the whole deal, went to Jacksonville, went to Sarasota, drove back. I drove, by the way, to all these places. Went back to Wilmington on the way back, went through Jacksonville again, all the things. got to, I think, Virginia on the drive back and had a moment of, oh, I needed to go there to get that I don't think I want to go there now. Then I remembered, oh, I have that thing in my human design. I have a channel that's the energy of the channel is you got to do stuff to know if you want to do the stuff.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Some people can like think about a stuff they want to do and be like, I think I'm going to think through this and here's the logic and here are my thoughts and feel. No, I have to like go to Japan to be like, do I want to be in Japan? So I went to Japan, metaphorically.
Nice.
Came back here. It's the springiest spring. And I realized something about the Northeast. This is how the Northeast tricks and manipulates people. This is how the Northeast keeps you. It's Shangri-fucking-La right now. It is the most beautiful place on earth. Green, sunny, the water is moving, the people are in a good mood, spring fever is high, everybody's your best friend. Stunning vistas everywhere you look. Just wait.
You just wait.
Just wait 6 months.
It's going to shit soon.
And then you're back in fucking hell. So here's my current theory. Spring, summer. You said this before. You were like, you need a pied a terre in the South. I think you're correct.
You just need a place to winter.
I think you're correct.
Yeah.
I think that's legitimately what I'm going to start heading my energies toward.
Yeah.
That or back to California. But I'll tell you, this is more, no offense, it's more beautiful in California.
I'm already offended. No, of course it is.
It's just weirdly
Well, the thing about the
stunning.
Northeast is you actually have seasons. Bay Area, we have all 4 seasons all year round.
Right.
So you never really get that sense of like, oh, this is what fall looks like. And God, it's gorgeous because the trees and the leaves and the oh, spring and the birth and the thing. We get a version of that, but then 2 weeks later, we go back to the other thing. And then in the middle of the winter, we have a spring, and then suddenly it's summer. And then during summer, we have a freeze. And it's just like
insane. Like people, you know, a lot of spiritual people are really into the seasons. They like eat with the seasons, and they harvest is kind of food, and then the spring is the food, and then the winter foods, and then you kapha, pitta, all the spring season-y things. There's a lot of people that are like into like the moon and the earth and the seasons. I have been fully disconnected from that living in California for 18 years and being like, I don't know what fucking season it is. Who cares?
Yeah.
The food is in the store. I'm an American. I have no connection to the earth for 18 different reasons. Trauma, California, America, you know?
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, you don't have to eat seasonally because we can get stuff.
I'm impressed with people in California that are aware of seasons. They do seem to exist. Like some spiritual people in California are like full moon harvest, solstice, wind. And I'm like, I don't know.
I like
I'm
that
seeing
wind
a movie
was
later.
part of that. Also wind.
Wind.
Speaking of movies, Katie, have you seen Everything Everywhere All at Once yet?
I'm still angry at it.
Did it do something bad to you?
Yes. You don't know about this?
No.
Well, look, for 10 years, you know that I have a solo show called Everything All at Once?
Yeah.
That I just made marketing materials for and did one performance of and was about to do an...
That's why it's been familiar to me this whole time.
Uh-huh. And let's talk about this. That is the second time in my life this has happened.
Yeah.
Me, a little nobody theater performer, puts all her fucking time and energy by her goddamn self into making something small for herself that like 500 people will see, maybe. Or maybe 6,000 over the course of 5 years. And it's called Insides Out.
And then they make the Pixar
and then
movie.
Pixar makes Insides Out. And I'm just like, Then I make a thing that, this is why this one's a little bit harder, is the title Everything All at Once has been with me for 10 years. And I've just been waiting to see like, what is the show I'm making called Everything? I have the title. I know there's a show that goes with it. Which show is it? Finally, I found which show. I mean, I'm talking about, I thought of this 10 years ago. I found it. I made the materials. I did one performance. I'm honing it. I'm about to do a live performance, my first one since COVID, June 4th. And it was called Everything All at Once. And then the cocksucking movie comes out called Everything Everywhere All at Once. And I'm mad at it.
So you haven't seen it because you resent.
Yeah, I'm going to see it. Don't worry.
You should fucking see it.
It's so good. Tell us about it, please.
That's...
But what's so good about it? Tell me more. I don't know.
It's just such a, like, it is 100% entertaining, and yet at the same time, it is bafflingly brain-breaking in terms of its grappling with reality and multiple universes and multiple realities and perception and love and what we put into the world and what we take out of the world and how we interact with. But it's also just insanely entertaining. But with really good, incredibly well executed acting.
Wow.
Like, and just everything about it, and there's deep cultural reference for some people that is also really resonating, but in no way do I feel like I can't appreciate it because I'm not Chinese American. I'm 100% in it. Bang. I'm 100% in it too.
Yeah.
But the deeper level of a lot of my specifically Chinese American friends are like, oh, thank you. But it's not about that. It's about the universal sense of what we put into the world and love and parents and all the things. It's just, it's just a really good movie. And what I actually rarely do I actually like that a bunch of people are into a movie. Like that usually bothers me.
Yeah.
But I love how much people are like ravenously excited about this movie.
Wow.
Because it means that a lot of people are ravenously excited about something that has depth and meaning and import, not just, oh, that was so cool.
Awesome.
That's all. So I'll say that.
No, that's huge. It's clearly an important movie because everyone I know is like, are you seeing it? When are you going to see it? You need to see it now. So, I mean, I'm going to see it.
But boy, do I really get that. Oh, that is really frustrating, Katie. And I mean that with like all the depth of my heart. Like, what the fuck do you do with that? Do you change the name so it's even more different, but it's still the same where you'd be like, Everything All at Once, not the movie or something like that?
I mean, what I did was I had to send marketing materials yesterday for this June 4th thing. I changed the title entirely.
Yeah.
Because there's no way for me to win that discussion with anyone.
No, you've already it's already lost because...
Exactly. Because it'll just sound like I'm biting off of it and no one will believe that I already made the materials before the movie. No one would believe that. That just sounds like...
because you're already fighting from a defensive proving place and you're like, never mind.
Yeah, because it'll just always sound like I'm lying and bitter. But I'm not. It happens to be true.
You could call it All the Answers.
Huh. I don't hate that.
Because it's not totally different from...
I called it All the Things Right Now.
That's good.
It's like All the Things, subtitle, right now. And then that allows me to change it every time.
Yeah.
Which is kind of fun. Squeezel just came to comfort me. Thank you, Squeezel. I know I lost my title. But it's kind of a good argument for like, make the show sooner than later, except that I was doing due diligence by waiting for the show that felt like it matched that title.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a little pissed off about it.
Recently, there was a supergroup band formed by, when they take, individual, like the Traveling Wilburys was considered a supergroup, which was terrible. There's a bunch of people who are already super famous in their own right with different bands, and then they come together and make a new band.
Right.
So there's this hip hop band from the Bay Area called Prophets of Rage that I think is amazing. It's basically this guy, Rico Pabon, who made this incredible, especially this one album that it's one of my favorite albums of all time.
Oh, cool.
My Power is the album and the band is Prophets of Rage. And then like that happened. And then like some years after that, this super group of people from like, I think like Rage Against the Machine and other rock and punk and metal bands all got together and made a band called Prophets of Rage. And I had that moment when that happened where I was like, oh God, that sucks. Because Rico still existed and he was still, at that time, he was still making music under the name Prophets of Rage.
Man.
But then all these people with power and money come together and don't go out there and go, is there a band called Prophets of Rage? Oh, this guy here. Great. We'll not do that name. They just go, here's a cool name.
I mean, in my case, to be fair, this is like an indie film, right?
It's a multi-million-dollar indie film.
Fair enough, but...
It's one of those where you like, indie? Yeah, I guess it is technically indie, but it's also, not a...
Yeah. Also, it's like I was having coffee with my new improv buddy here locally who runs serious comedy. Chris, whose last name I can't think of now. Great guy. Runs this whole improv empire here in Beacon. And I was like, so I tell him the story and I go, so now I'm like, what do I do? He goes, oh, you're fucked. You can't use it. You're done. And I was like, you're right.
Yeah. It's good to just be straightforward about that. Yep.
You're right. Yep.
Yeah, you can't win that one.
You're totally right. He was also the guy who I was like, oh, I'm in New York. God. He goes, like, I told him about he's like, what do you do for money? And I was like, oh, energy healer. I said the words, and he was like, oh God, you are from California. Out loud, he said that. He goes, I have another friend like you. She's like living in a van and like spreading good vibes or something. She talks just like you talk. And I was like, oh boy.
Now, saying that, I just want to return to a thought I had when we were talking about the pied-à-terre for you, how to winter.
Yes. Good point.
What if...
Where?
Yeah, we can figure that out later. Well, what if you worked towards getting yourself a really nice mobile home, like the big, really fancy kind, that you would then drive back and you would like pay to store somewhere and, it would just be there. But then you could be like, this summer, I'm going to Florida. This summer, I'm going to Wilmington. This winter, I'm going to.
That is a wonderful idea, and I like it. I was thinking, here was my version of it. One way this could go is it could be, I get a really cool Airstream, Winnebago, whatever, park it in the South, Airbnb it constantly. So it's like on the beach in Jacksonville, let's say, or wherever.
Right.
And people are constantly renting it. I have a management company cleaning it and blah, 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 blah. And then when I want it, I go to it. Boom.
I like the idea that it's a trailer though, because then you could still continually relocate if you wanted to.
You're 1,000,000% right.
Rather than buying an apartment in Wilmington or buying an apartment in Florida or something.
The only reason to buy an apartment or a house instead is that they appreciate in value.
Right.
And then in 5 years, so you rent it out while you're not there, making money on it, paying it. Then it's 4 times as pricey in 5 years. You sell that fucker, you buy another one, you do it again. You'd make more money if it was a house, but you have more freedom if it's a truck, car, van. So here's the real solution. Get both.
Get it all, baby.
House, rental, sell it. Meanwhile, RV, boom. So I need $800,000. Go ahead, universe. I'm ready.
Here it comes.
Did you know that when abundance arrives, it comes with a fart noise?
It sounds like that. Probably. Is there more to say about your travels? Were there any other adventures? Or do we also want to go on the records for any reason today? I have a weird random records question that I will.
Okay. Well, here's the wrap up of the thing. I guess I just want to say, I went through some emotional stuff. I did some crying on the trip. I really legitimately thought I was going to be I'm out of here. I'm out of here. I was really sure about it.
I was hearing that.
Yeah. And then it was in going there and really finding some very viable options that made me feel good and that seemed really doable. And I started to plan my life there and I was doing it, right? In doing so, I went through some stuff that caused me to realize I'm not quite ready to do that. I don't know, maybe the future, but not at this minute. So it was I had to go through the feelings that came with going through the motions to get to the clarity. And I guess I just feel like saying that for anyone out there who is emotionally defined in their human design chart or who just has that impulse in them of I want to move to Italy, but I don't know. It's maybe fucking go for 2 months and decide you're going, but keep your house. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just kind of a pitch for some of us who are the kind of people that need to do that. I just want to say that for anyone who might relate to it or get something out of that. That's all. That there's nothing wrong with you. In other words, if you need to believe a thing in order to learn about whether you believe that thing. I had a friend who used to say, she was an Al-Anon friend. She'd be when I was stuck on a decision, she'd be here's what you do. Decide you're doing A and you're not doing B. Just decide it. Sit with that. Live as if that's your truth for 3 days. And at the end of the 3 days, how do you feel about the actual reality of all the things required to do that thing? And I found that to be a helpful exercise, but because I'm so creative and my mind, I have such an open head and ajna, even if I decide to believe I'm moving to Wilmington, there's a part of me that knows I'm not actually, there's no skin in the game. So I don't actually get the information I need. Mm-hmm. But if I drive there and look around at you know what I mean? Doing it, starting.
You actually applied for some apartments.
3 different ones and got approved. And put money on the table.
And then yoinked it back.
It was a very small amount of money, so it was easy to put it on the table. point being, it's like sometimes you got to put skin in the game of something to discover if you really want to put skin in the game of that thing. But not everybody's that way. I just seem to be that way. You know what I'm going to do for next time? I'm going to find out which gate and channel that is in my chart so I can share that with people. Anybody who has gate 30, just know that that's going to be a thing for you and don't make yourself wrong about it. Can I say one thing too about it? I have my doggie in my lap.
Yeah.
And I didn't have her in my life for 10 days.
Oh, no.
Maybe 12 days? No dog. Me with no squeezle. What is that even?
How did Squeezel deal with that is what I want to know.
Well, okay, this bitch.
I mean, I care about you, but I feel like she...
Yeah. Well, she lives a fancy life, so she stayed in the 2-bedroom condo with my dear friend Adele, who came and stayed here with her because Adele was living with family, needed a break, was like, maybe some time away from family.
Little house sit, dog sit.
Boom. Everybody.
I love a good house sit, dog sit. They're the best.
God, right? It's like a staycation.
Totally is.
Staycation. Okay, what's your question for the record?
It's completely unrelated to everything we've been talking about, but
perfect.
Here we go.
Okay.
There's a few prongs to this. I just got my booster day before yesterday.
Which one? You've had many.
Yeah, I'm over 50, so I got my second booster.
Okay.
I've now had 4 jabs. And I've been lucky, didn't have much reaction. But the one reaction I had was like night before last, specific joints. I woke up with specific joints hurting.
Mm.
And I don't know if that was the reason I want to get into it is it's all related to different things in different parts of my body right now.
Okay.
So it was very strange. And I also realized that I probably do this a lot. I'm squeezing my fist together when I sleep because I will wake up with especially my pinky and second, what's next to the pinky finger? Ring finger hurting.
Hmm.
The knuckles really hurting. And I'll pull my knuckles and it'll feel better a little bit. Okay. There's a lot going on here.
Real quick.
Yeah.
Are you sleep masturbating?
Maybe, but with both hands. Like switch hitter. But my dick doesn't hurt.
Well, of course not.
I think if I am, I'm gripping it.
All right. Fair enough.
And that's not necessarily the right choice. Okay. There's so much here. I have this thing called Dupuytren's contracture, which is in my right hand along the sort of tendon or ligament maybe, specifically down from my ring finger, there is a line of little, what is it called? Collagen deposits that makes like these hard bumps in my hand. And it's called Dupuytren's contracture because if it gets really bad, it'll make your hand start to contract.
It makes your hands depuit.
It deputes the contraction.
Okay.
It feels like more has been growing in there of late.
Okay.
And I find that my hand hurts in the morning sometimes. I think my question is actually about the Dupuytren's contracture because
are they connected to the sleepy hand pain?
That's one.
Okay.
That's huge. That's a big part of it. Weirdly, my physical therapist said there is theoretical connection, but no real hard evidence that often people with Dupuytren's contracture often get frozen shoulders.
Huh.
And it's in the same arm that I have my frozen shoulder that it's gotten so much better. Oh my God, it's so much better. I'm so happy.
Oh my God.
That my frozen shoulder is 80%.
And that you attribute the betterness to physical therapy? What did it?
Some of the PT, some stretching. It just got better moving it. Actually juggling. Huge breakthrough when I juggled with my friend. I passed clubs, which my PT had said to do. He's like, use that arm, like do it.
Cool.
And I think I broke up a piece of adhesion or something while juggling, and it made a huge difference. So that's great.
I love that.
Also, just the fact that I did something that has been a part of my life was I can do it again. And then so both the breakthrough made for further breakthrough because as soon as I acknowledged that, then there was so that's the spiritual physical connection of Anyway, so my question is, is the hand connected? Is the contracture connected to is that why my joints are hurting in the morning?
Mm-hmm. I get a big no so far, but carry on.
Interesting.
I know.
And B, do I need to? There's this sort of, you don't have to do anything about it until you do situation with the hand thing. If it gets real bad, there's like 3 different treatments. One is like injecting this collegionic substance, which dissolves it maybe. There's actual surgery of 2 different levels of surgery that they can do. And like, do I need to be looking at this thing? Because it feels like it's getting worse and it causes pain. And I don't like that.
It does. What kind of pain?
Sometimes to the touch, like if I'm gripping something for any length of time. So like if I was playing.
Like yours or somebody else's pain?
Yeah, a pain.
Any pains.
Or like playing racquetball or something, my hand will just get sore and like cannot work.
Play racquetball with pains.
Right. As do I. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying racquetball with quotes around.
Got it.
I haven't played in 2 years, but still. Or even juggling clubs. So like if I'm gripping something or shoveling or anything that requires me to grip something for any length of time, even video gaming.
Okay.
It will hurt. It'll reach a point where my hand hurts. It sucks. It's not good. It just hurts, like crampy, wounded. It feels, or like I banged it on something. And then my morning, rarely does it hurt my left hand, often my right hand, which is like to the point where I'm wondering if I should wear a splint while I sleep so that I don't grip.
Okay.
Because it'll wake me up.
Can I just say
the pain will wake me up. Yeah.
How much I'm in love with the term depletrans.
I'll say it 100 times. Depletrans contracture. Say the whole thing.
Depletrans contracture.
Yeah.
The word deplete, it's so Elmer Fudd-y.
I think it's the dude's name who named it.
But whose name is deplete?
You know, his name is Sven Depletrin.
Oh my God, I love it so much.
It's like Dutch or something.
That's just amazing. Because I love that it tricks you into thinking you're saying a word that you're familiar with, deplete.
Yeah.
But you're not. You're saying a different fucking word.
But deplete, it's a deplete.
It's so cool.
I still haven't listened to an episode, but there's a podcast. I want to listen to this podcast. This is a podcast I intend to listen to, and I never do.
Yeah.
Called, what's it called when you think you're sick all the time? You are a
hypochondriac.
There's a podcast called Hypochondriactor.
Oh, I know it because Sean Hayes and the partner of the person who's doing it with him, I've met her. She's a friend of a friend. No shit.
Like a dear friend of a friend. And I met her at this friend's birthday party. And we totally like connected and became friends and became Facebook friends.
No.
And I was like, turns out she's like a super accomplished doctor.
Huh.
And then also a pretty well established comedian.
Huh.
And then suddenly she has this podcast with Sean Hayes. I'm like, anyway, some actor, can't remember who, has depletrans contracture on one of the episodes. And I'm super excited to listen to this episode.
Oh my God.
Because they just interview an actor about their particular weird medical thing.
Oh, I'm obsessed with that idea.
Yeah.
Here's how I know about this and why I love it already is because I obsessively listen to Smartless.
Right.
Where it's Sean Hayes, Jason Bateman, and Will Arnett being just hilarious dummies about all the things forever. Everything,
everywhere, all at once.
Oh, kill me with a fork in my eye holes. Yeah. So and every now and again, Sean will casually mention on the podcast, like one of them will be like, so Sean was at the hospital again, and then they just move on.
Right.
Because he's so regularly at the hospital, like he like hurts his foot and then he's like, I have AIDS.
Right.
And they're like, you don't have AIDS, but okay. And then he goes to the hospital because he's so worried about it. He's like got a real thing.
Yeah. So he is like a hypochondriactor himself.
Precisely.
It's also a brilliant name. God, they nailed it.
Oh my God, it's so good. Like so good. I know. Yeah. We wish we could have like a pun name. What pun name could we change our podcast to?
All the ends swerves because we changed lanes all the time. Nope. That sucked.
All the hand-sers. If we find the solution to your hand problem,
then we will have a hand-ser.
Oh my God, I did it. I did it in one.
So
come on.
I'm also happy if you just wanted, because you just did, you could just do a real quick check and we could wrap up. Or if you have.
Well, let's get in. Let's go in. Let's see if we get new info.
Oh, and also he has a name.
Who?
Caleb.
Oh.
My little depletrans contracture. I do refer to him as Caleb. So if
how did he get his name?
Denise and I named him.
Is he kind of like a finance bro?
Caleb? No, that feels to me more like a weird biblical, because he's my undeveloped twin. And I feel like in some weird, like Children of the Corn story, there would be a guy named, there would be an undeveloped twin named Caleb. It feels biblical to me.
All right, fair enough. I guess to me it also feels like every like rich tennis playing Jewish boy I grew up.
Oh God, I do not think of Caleb as that be.
But fair, I think Caleb, I'm wrong about I think it would be like a waspy rich kid who played tennis. Caleb, your tennis instructor's here.
Yeah.
In Miami. You know what I mean?
I guess so. Yeah. I think of it more as Caleb, fetch the mending cloth, Caleb, and bring it into the barn where we shall meet the devil.
Yes, soak the mending cloth in the
It's a mending cloth. It's like a bundling board.
In the fleecing bucket.
Caleb, fetch the mending cloth. Have you fleeced the bucket?
Exactly. Okay. Biblical Caleb. I got you.
So if you want to refer to Caleb he really does have that name. So,
and we could open the records of Caleb.
I would love that.
That's really funny. Okay, let's open your records and see what happens. And then we may open Caleb's records.
And we can do this semi-briskly because we've been going for almost an hour and a half already. So we're doing good, but
I love it. Yeah, we'll just do 10, 15 minutes in the old Rex. How do you feel about that?
I love it. I love talking to a particular part of my body. That's a thing I don't know that we've done necessarily.
Okay. All right. I'm going to drop on in ski. All right. We'll take a few. I'm going to do kind of a quickie version, so you don't even have to travel with me if you don't want to. All right, so I'm just breathing and opening the foot chakras and seeing those roots extend and opening the root chakra and sending a grounding cord, receiving light from the earth up into that cord, down into the legs, down into the roots, grounding. Breathing into the low belly. Okay. And so we do acknowledge the forces of light, asking for guidance, direction, and courage to know the truth as it is revealed for our highest good and the highest good of everyone connected to us. Holy Spirit of God, protect me, please, from all forms of self-centeredness and direct my attention to the work at hand. Help me to know Cassidy Jamal Brown. Am I missing any actual other names you have?
No, those are my only actual names.
I've gotten so convinced that, okay, I know Cassidy Jamal Brown in the light of the Akashic Records. Help me to see Cassidy Jamal Brown through the eyes of the Lords of the Records and enable me to share the wisdom and compassion that the masters, teachers, and loved ones of Cassidy Brown have for Cassidy Brown. Okay, so as we deepen into the records of Cassidy Jamal Brown, just asking that you clear anything from my field or his that would stand in the way of me receiving highest and best, truest guidance for his soul, its evolution, his body, his mind, his spirit, here in the 3D as well as 5D and beyond. We're looking for accurate info, so anything in the way of that, we ask you take it, clear it, release it, uncreate, destroy it. Okay, so, all right, so question number 1, how would you say it simply, Cass? Is the Dupuytren's connected to the sleep pain?
Yes.
Okay, so I still get a no. So is the Dupuytren's thing causing the sleep pain stuff? No. Is his body having, or his neurology having a reaction to the Dupuytren's that causes him to do fists? No. The fists are okay. So I started to ask, and then there was already a yes. Is the fist clenching more of a stress thing? And that's a big yes. Kind of like the way people grind their teeth, when they sleep. Mm-hmm. Your version is this clenching thing. And so then I'm wondering, is there anything else Cassidy's doing or anything else that's happening in his body that's contributing to the pain in the morning in the fingers? No. Like, does he need any supplements or acupuncture or anything for that? No. Okay, so that's about, now there's all this information. So now, so that's about some emotional stuff in the low belly. It's about, if you were to every day take time to process all the feelings that day brought up, which is not easy for human beings to do, but if you were to take that time every single day to get really clear about where am I nervous, where am I afraid, where am I sad, where am I angry, what has not been emotionally expressed, and then on top of that, or in addition to that, if you were to also process all of the pain of your entire life and your childhood in your low belly, you would never experience.
Cool.
So if you were to live Katie Rubin's life and be so busy doing that shit that you were barely doing anything else, you wouldn't have the clenching anymore, because the clenching is like, this is so interesting because they're showing me every single piece of this now. It's like very visible, but there's a lot going on, so it's hard to say it all quickly. So let's learn a thing that some of us already know. When we have unprocessed emotional stuff, be it in the heart or the belly or wherever it's living in the conscious body mind, there is a secondary holding pattern that occurs in the brainstem. Okay, this is something I learned in Durango with one of my healer friends, Nicola Dellinger, who's a great naturopath. She taught me that her spiritual teacher showed her, like, there's a chart you can look at that shows the kind of trauma that leads to different kinds of stuck energies in the brainstem. So first of all, they're showing me we should do some low belly and brainstem clearing for you of old unprocessed emotional stuff. Nothing, it's not like, oh, you were raped by a priest or big terrible drama, but over a lifetime, you've lived a lot of minutes, right? One has things that occur that don't get fully processed because in the moment you don't want to, or in the moment you just don't, or in the moment it's too hard or whatever. So we could process those through some energy work and some feeling if you want, or you do it in therapy, or you do it by journaling, however you want to do it. So belly, like second chakra, feelings, and brainstem. Not so much in the heart, interestingly. Not really. Okay, that would help. So some kind of practice you could put into place regularly before you go to bed and when you wake up in the morning. Be honest with, what are you afraid of? What are you worried about? What are you sad about? What are you angry about? What do you need emotionally? What do you need? Feel the feelings that come up when you write all those down, and that will move all this through eventually over time. Or however you want to do it. But that's what
Question?
Yes.
Is that the same as, or would that be served by the I want, I wish, I need, I hate, I resent, that list of journaling prompts? Because it sounds very much the same.
Here's what's different. There's a tweak. It's like a little tweak to it. Oh God, that microphone is doing that thing. Hold on a second. Okay, let me just tune in. Can he just do that? Here's the only thing not to do. The tweak, I would listen back to this recording and just do this version if you can, because sometimes there's a way that you can list things in that other format and not feel them. You go like, I want, I feel, I need, I wrote it down, I'm done. We want you to actually sit with and feel. So if you can use that particular set of prompts and you will feel great. The other thing is, don't forget to put in the needs. If you put in the needs, emotional needs, that'll help a lot too. So it's not so much the format that is the point, it's the whichever format creates the easiest and best and deepest way for you to feel the energies that come up, the emotions. Does that make sense?
Yes, I think so. And I'm actually just in my head thinking, So when I've done that thing recently, I've slept better, and I'm trying to now track. I mean, that was the whole kind of point of it. I'm kind of trying to track whether I also didn't wake up with clench hands on those nights. So like I may have already been doing this.
Cool.
But I'm not sure. I have to, I don't know that I've tracked the hand pain to the sleep yet, although they're related, obviously, because it's always when I sleep when I hurt my hand.
Well, it makes sense. It makes sense. There's something this is what I get when you say that there's something you have been doing and there's something you haven't been doing from what we said a moment ago. And I believe the missing piece is the needs. Emotional needs, boundaries, and feelings about needs and boundaries. So add that to the practice and you should be holistically good with that.
Yeah, I think that maybe the framing is just tweaking, which is, I think I have been saying, I think I need has been in it, but I think I've been using I need as a more of a, I need to be hired or whatever, where it's more direct, it's more 3D needs as opposed to emotional needs and boundaries.
I see.
Sort of just changing the framing about that statement will be useful.
And that gives a big yes when you say that. Okay, what else? What's the next question?
Okay, so it sounds like, it makes sense that it's not being caused by the Dupuytren's, but in my head, I'm thinking, I'm still logicking some things. And that is that, like, the reason the right hand hurts more is because of the Dupuytren's contracture. So it's the opposite. The clenching is causing the pain, but it's making the Dupuytren's hand worse. Does that?
That's correct.
Yeah. So that's why they were saying, no, it's not. It is related, but it's not caused by.
Correct.
Right. So great. Good to know on the clenching thing. So separate that off from Dupuytren's. I'm going to say it again. But I want to return to Dupuytren's contracture. Is it getting worse? And do I need to do any medical intervention? Does that seem advised at this moment?
Is it getting worse? No. Does he need to do medical intervention? Yes. That's interesting.
I mean, maybe it's just that it's already gotten worse.
Yeah, it's just, you should do something. Let's take me through the options of what you could do.
Full on open the hand up surgery.
Blah, but okay, that reads. What else?
As a maybe, as a could be.
Well, it's a yes, but let's see what our options are.
Injection. There's the substance injection.
Boy,
dissolve.
That's a no. Okay,
Weird.
Keep going.
Damn it. That's the one I want.
Oh, I'm sorry.
There's a third. I feel like there's a different variation of the surgery that I can't remember. But like slightly less invasive surgery than what I just described. Is there a version of that?
Okay, that reads like a no.
All right, so it's just full-on hand surgery. That's what they're saying.
Boy, that's a fucking bummer.
That sucks because it puts you out. It takes, recovery from that is a lot more significant than just dissolving it. I think the difference being the dissolving is temporary. They can do dissolve the thing. And then it's addressing it, but it's not really, it's a lot more, it's a more casual, but the hand surgery is like they go in and scrape it off and remove the things.
I think, Cass, I don't like that I get this, but I think there's something a little bit additional or else happening, like a bone spur in addition to the thing that the injection wouldn't address in any way. Like, they would do the injection, you'd get a little bit of relief, and then you'd be back to square one very quickly, 3 days later, maybe 4 or 5 days later. So go ahead, but that's a bummer, right? And you could, if you need to, just for your sanity, do that and find that out, depending on how expensive it is. And once you've tried it, you'll see that. And then that's the reason for the opening of the hand is there's a something else.
They can see more if they do that.
And they'll be able to address the something else.
Yeah, that makes sense. No, I get that. Is the Dupuytren's contracture related to this frozen shoulder, just while we're in there?
No.
Yeah, it was more of a theoretical thing.
But tell me more about what the doctor said about sometimes people who have something.
He just said,
something.
yeah, it's like, I think he was making it more correlative than directly related, where it was like people with Dupuytren's contracture, they think have a more of a tendency towards also having frozen shoulders.
Okay, that's true. And I wonder why that's true. Something about deposits. No. Something about, no. Genetic, bones, ligaments, blood. No. Movement.
Oh, I have a question for it, maybe. On the one that you can check. Frozen shoulders are also stress related. Often people with stress get frozen shoulders. And I wonder if it's coming from that direction.
Yeah, that's a yes.
That it's all being caused by the stress expression.
Well, the clenching and the shoulder are stress for sure. I don't think the Dupuytren's is though. Yeah, that's like there's something about calcification, bone, something. It's just kind of a thing. It's not, but you're right. You hit that's like the most open yes we've had so far of the shoulder is it's stress, but it's also, here's what it is. Okay. Wow, this is good for me to hear. I need to hear this right now. In the same way that when you do emotional integrative parts work, they're kind of talking to me right now, Katie, when you facilitate parts work for yourself or others where there's a part of self that's not getting expression or that's been exiled, and you give that part a voice, the part integrates back up into the wholeness, and then there's peace in the system again, okay? Similarly, when there's creative expression or self-expression or physical expression not happening, the impulse for that physical expression, creative expression gets shoved into somewhere in the body. And in Cassidy's case, this time there's been something that he's not been doing. And it is the creative expression. Oh, that's sweet. I need to hear that. This is for me too, dude. It's the creative expression that doesn't lead to anything. You know, it's not for money. It's not for fame. It's not for job, gig, resume. It's creative expression for creative expression and connection and unity and bringing people together. All of that, that hasn't had voice or room. In this case, a lot to do with COVID, not any other reason, and just life right now. Mm-hmm. That's what that is. Oof. It's the stuck energy of that.
I just want to share real quick. As you were speaking, I had massive deja vu looking at you, saying those words at the exact angle of your face.
Wow.
That was weird. Like, and I mean in the deja vu sense, not in the sense of like, oh, you've said this before, but no. Like,
no, I get it.
I just had a little reflective moment of like, oh, I dreamt this exact moment or something like that.
Can I just tell you, that's so cool you say that, because where was I? I think I was on this trip somewhere. I can't remember where I was physically on the earth, but I had a deja vu that happened so slowly that while it was happening, I thought, oh, I've seen this before. Oh, I'm still in the deja vu. Oh, I remember where I was sitting when I saw this before. Oh, this was me seeing the future. Oh, time and space are overlapping and they fold in on themselves and aren't real. Oh, nothing is linear. Like, it was so slow that I was given awareness of how real it is that deja vu is really, we are seeing the future the first time you see it. Period.
Right.
Because the future and the past are actually not linearly in the relationship we think they're in.
Yeah.
So it's funny because even as a very woo-woo person, I've never really been sure how I feel about that was my theory about deja vu, but I was like, I don't know, that might be crazy. But recently I was like, it was like a 3-minute long, because you know how they happen so quickly, deja vus, just like kept going and going, and they were like giving me info and giving it. So anyway, that happened.
Well, while you were doing it, I had enough time to go and then watch. And then I like was checking it as you were speaking.
Oh,
too.
I love
like
it.
I kind of like changed my angle. It's like, oh yeah. This looks exactly like I know it.
Amazing.
Anyway, expression, unexpressed, creative energy.
That's about bringing people together and having joy and nothing else.
Right. It's not about being in a play or
Status. Winning, money, power, ego, nothing. It's just like, we want to do this. This is fun, and we're together now, and we're happy.
Well, I gotta say, I hope it lives up to it. But my excitement about starting rehearsals as a director on this show is not because I don't believe that I have any professional like bone to pick or thing to prove as a director, because I still don't see myself as like building my directorial career in this moment. I am so excited to be in the room and be the person who is setting the space and tone for the exploration and putting a product together. But like my excitement is not even about the work. It's about the framing of the work. It's about being able to get here with these people and go, blah, blah, let's do this thing. How do we feel about how we're going to do this thing? Like,
I love this.
And I think that's sort of what you're saying.
Yes, that is. It's creative express. Like when you talked about the juggling, you know, when you juggle, it's fun, and you're not like bettering your career.
And it fucking healed my shoulder.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's why it healed your shoulder.
Cool.
Rock on.
Cool.
Good shit, man.
I love that. Thank you.
Any other-
Goddamn, yeah.
That was useful. What else? Anything else?
Okay, wait, just to review, I might have to get surgery on my hand because that's its own thing. That there's more to it than that. I need to just, I mean, it's never even been scanned or x-rayed or anything. It's just been, it was literally a telemedicine. When I described it and showed it to her on the camera, she goes, yeah, that's Dupuytren's contracture. And everything that I'd learned about it afterwards, like, oh yeah, that's exactly what it is. But it hasn't been like really looked at in a deeper way. So.
Okay. Have that looked at. And the rest
Go
is
back
do
to
your
journaling in some way to get rid of the emotional attachment stuff that needs the expression of unprocessed emotion in order to both, I think, address my shoulder and my gripping.
Correct. And be more actively engaged regularly in creative, fun outlets that aren't about yielding anything from it. It doesn't mean nothing will yield from it, but they're not about that. Right.
I love that. Are you kidding me? God, if we could all give ourselves permission for that. But maybe not. Maybe that's just for me. It doesn't have to be everybody.
No. Good shit, man. Yay.
Cool. Perfect.
Okay. I'm going to close your records. This was great. Thanks, guys. This was just very clear and clean. My microphone is being weird. Okay. So I want to thank the Lords, Masters, and Teachers of Records. Thank you, guys. Thank you to everybody for all your insights, your clarity, your wisdom. Thank you, God. Hold on. Let me get the actual prayer right. I'm in a spaced out place. I want to thank the Masters, Teachers, and loved ones for their love and compassion, the Lords of the Records for their point of view, and the Holy Spirit of Light for all knowledge and healing. I ask that you return all of Cassidy Jamal Brown's energy to himself. I ask that you return him to his complete human wholeness now. The Divine Portal and the Akashic Records of Cassidy Jamal Brown are now closed. Amen. The Divine Portal and the Akashic Records of Cassidy Jamal Brown are now closed. Amen. The Divine Portal and the Akashic Records of Cassidy Jamal Brown are now closed. Amen, amen, amen. You know, just to wrap this up for today, the formality of the prayer, it's so interesting to me because it's important. And, I tend to be somebody who's like, resistant to formality and wants to do it my way and blah, blah, blah. But there are certain things that like have to be what they are. And the prayer is one of them. Like the way in and the way out of the Akashic Records prayer you can do it any number of ways, but you want to do the way.
Right.
Like you could pick one of 5 ways in, but you have to like do that thing because it's been carved out in consciousness that way. So like when I try to like skip around and do it a different way or shorten it or whatever, they sort of go like, what are you doing? That's not how that goes. And I'm like, but I'm a sovereign being. We create what we want. They're like, stop it.
Right. But it's the consciousness around when we do something in a ritual fashion. There's a different consciousness than there is when we do things in a casual fashion or in an improvisational fashion.
That's true.
The consciousness we create around it. If it's improvisational, it's fine. That's great. But that's a different thing.
Yeah.
Than the ritual fashion.
Yeah.
So this is what I tell my students all the time when I'm saying, you got to give yourself permission. Like I say, you have to warm up before doing a thing. And then I also tell them the truth. I'm like, I'm an actor. I should tell you that before every performance, I warm up. Bullshit. I don't. Mm-hmm. It's a lie. But guess what? Every time I do, it's better.
Yeah.
Right. It's better if I do. And it's not, and part of it, yes, is the physical, the vocal scales, all that shit, the physical reality of it. But part of it is the intention of giving yourself permission to say, I have now arrived at this moment. I am now saying I am here. So I'll jokingly say, like, even if your warm up were to go slap, slap, boop. But if you've told yourself that is your warm up,
yeah,
and you do slap, slap, boop, what you've said to yourself is you've reminded yourself to return to that space.
That's right. Ritual.
So the ritual is part of it. And yes, now add to that there is more content for you in the ritual.
Sure.
Of doing it formally. There is more actual physical content.
Well, but your point is the same.
But also, yeah, you have to stretch the voice and get the body moving too if you're going to warm up for a show. But the ritual of acknowledgement is as important.
I agree. When you write your memoir, can it be called Slap, Slap, Boop?
Slap, slap, boop. Not poop. That's your memoir. Slap, slap, poop.
It'll be Slap, Slap, Boop, the Whoomty Whoomp story. Cassidy Jamal Brown. I love you.
Do your whoomty whoomp, everybody.
Do your whoomty whoomp.
I love you.
Love
Talk to you. Not just here.
Soon, like people do.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
What are you asking for? All of the answers? Say what? All of the answers? Yeah, all the answers.
Hey guys, thanks for listening. We'd love to hear from you. Please email us with your questions so that we have questions to answer in the Akashic Records. Our email address is allanswerspod@gmail.com. That's allanswerspod@gmail.com. And if you'd like to find us on Facebook or Twitter, it's @allanswerspod, @allanswerspod. Thank you.
Retrograde.
Retrograde.
Retrograde. Retrograde. Retrograde.
Mixed and edited by Desmond McNeese for We Mixed It, LLC. Go to whatsoundsawesome.com.